prosecution whatsoever. So it's kind of ridiculous to even say that. We've actually got a caller right now. We've got Jerry calling. Jerry, you're on live on the Edward Woodson Show. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, Edward Woodson?
How are you, Jerry?
I'm good, man. Just heard you guys talking about the BP spill, man. I have to chime in because, you know, I kept my mouth shut for so long, and then I saw the pictures of the seagulls and the fish coming up oil, you know, and it's not their fault. And it's just like, you're talking about a company that makes $16 billion last year, and they're upwards of $1 billion in the cleanup, and they still haven't capped this thing, Edward.
No, it's amazing. It's like as I said before, how do you not go in there and have some type of contingency plan where you're thinking this could possibly happen? This could possibly happen, right, Jerry?
If you look at the documents they prove, yes, you're right. They said that if something does happen, this is after 2000, the report you were talking about. They said if something does happen, their plan B, that if an oil well starts gushing, that the beach and the oil spill would be minimal, and it would take 6 months to disperse. Now, you and I both know that 6 months, even if they stopped it right now, is a false figure because they're still cleaning up the Exxon Valdez.
Exactly,
years
you're right.
ago.
You're right. That's been 20 years now. What, 89 was Exxon Valdez?
Mm-hmm.
If you go to Prince William Sound right now and you just you dig a little bit into the sand there, you find oil.
Sure.
And the fishing industry never came back there. Those people, their lives were devastated. It's 20 years.
Never. And now they're, what they're doing with the dispersant, putting the planes over there, they're making things worse, man. Reports are coming up already on the beaches in the Louisiana coast of people and children with health problems.
Right, because of the chemical disbursements, yeah.
Yeah, and they're just making it worse. And, they said they spent $1 billion on the cleanup so far, and it's going to take another $5 billion. That's a drop in the hat to a company that makes $16 billion in 2009 reported earnings.
Right, and not only that, did you see that they're getting ready to pay out $10 billion in dividends? So
unbelievable.
They're coming under fire for that. And then, you know what, of course, the shareholders are going to want that dividend.
Sure.
They're going to want that dividend because, just like you said, they made $16 billion this year. They deserve that dividend. I'm going to tell you, there's going to be a huge backlash with that thing.
I just read on Associated Press, Edward, you're talking about shareholders. 40% of British Petroleum shareholders are in the United States of America. And you have to understand, I believe what you believe. Listen, I'm not left, I'm not right. I'm for the people, man. And I'm going to speak where I see something, it stinks. You smell dirty diapers, let's call it out, okay? You're talking about the Obama administration greasing and cutting checks and doing things behind doors. What he states on the podium and what he puts in his back pocket are two different things.
Oh, it's Chicago-style politics. This guy's no different from George Bush. That's why it's such a joke that people, thought there was going to be some change.
Sure. No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, believe me, man. I'm a 9/11 truther. I believe, what I see. You can't tell me that those buildings fell by themselves. Come on. It's just, and now you see this BP thing. Look at the direct connection between Tony Hayward and a lot of top officials, not just Obama. When you're talking about guys that are fed puppets, you understand? That whole system is run by money, and it's fueled by money. And BP has a lot of money. Therefore, and I know, mark my words, write it down right now, Tony Hayward will never spend one day in federal prison for the lives he's destroyed, the economy, the industry in Louisiana, and all the other problems. He won't spend one day in federal prison.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. There's not going to be any criminal charge. These guys are going to face any criminal charges.
Nothing.
That's just a joke that Eric Holder talks about that. I mean, come on. It's never happened, first of all. They'll pay a fine. And that fine that they have, it's federally capped at $75 million. $75 million, big deal.
$75 million to BP is like me going to buy a soda at the store right now.
It is.
It's a joke.
It's a joke, exactly. And guess what? That's what the government put as a cap because God forbid, we actually tax these guys for doing something wrong.
That's funny. The government putting a cap on a fine for a company that generates $16 billion, and that's just in 2009. Look at his past record. That company, like you said, it's just growing money off the trees.
Oh, yeah. Well, not only that, and I don't know if people remember, but last year they bought Arco and they bought another
AMPM.
Yeah, AMTM. They're huge. BP is just, I mean, they're massive.
Sure.
And as I stated before, they have one of the worst records safety. They have the worst safety record of any company.
There's only a couple of them, like you said. It's almost like a monopoly that is, of course, illegal. But Exxon, BP, there's a couple more. If you look to, not to draw a side tangent, but just keep this in the back of your mind. Chevron is very close into making a natural gas offshore drilling site, kind of like BP in Australia, off the coast of Broome, which is the last untouched piece of land that this world has to offer before we destroy that. Look at that one too, Edward.
Huh.
Chevron, natural gas for all. Well, they say we'll produce natural gas for all of Australia. It'll be a great thing. Oh yeah, and wipe out thousands of species of birds and animals and untouched region.
Well, because you know what? They don't really care.
They don't care, man.
Bottom line. And you know what? These politicians don't care. I love how they talk about how they care about the environment, and it was going to be a New Deal, and we're going to have all these scientists, and give me a break. This guy, in fact, the Secretary of Energy, supposedly he's a Nobel Prize winner.
Yeah,
okay.
and so is Obama. You know what? A month after in office, he's a Nobel Peace Prize. Please, that thing's a joke, man.
That was a joke. That was a total joke. I mean, and we're at war. We're at war on two fronts, and they give him a peace prize.
Oh, of course, war is big business. You know that, Edward.
Of course.
That's an old story, man. We've been doing that for hundreds of years. I watched Dateline NBC last Friday. Great coverage on the Gulf. And I watched one little guy. They talked about and interviewed him. They said, "Sir, how does this affect you?" He's got a shrimping business down there. He's got about 6 or 7 boats.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And he said, BP wrote me a check for $5,000, and the reporter said, "What'll that do to you?" He goes, "I make $400,000 per season. You tell me what $5,000 does for me."
That's Philip. That'll fill up his boat.
Yeah, and not only that, BP employs those people, They say, "Come to work for us to clean up the mess that we made."
Amazing. And you know what else I want to know? I want to know, why is BP in charge of this? Why isn't the government in charge of this? It's amazing how the government has acquiesced BP to do this. They're like, we're just going to go with whatever you say, dudes.
And remember, BP, it's not the pointing game anymore. BP, Transocean, okay, that's over with.
Right. Oh, I agree.
The solution now.
I agree.
Okay. And the thing is BP is failing miserably. Did you hear they're asking James Cameron for advice because he shot Titanic underwater? Listen, man.
That was a
joke.
joke.
What you do? When Hollywood gets involved, all you have is sheer publicity. Listen, you're going to have Sean Penn running around the bayou with a shotgun and a paid photographer saying, "Oh, yeah, I got the solution." Kevin Costner coming up and going, "I'll sell you the rights to my oil and water machine that separates oil from water for a fee." Listen, Kevin Costner.
Did he use that on Waterworld?
Yeah, he couldn't save water if it was in his DNA. He failed miserably in Waterworld with $400 million tank there. And The Guardian, anything that guy touches in water is a joke. Are you kidding me? The last guy I'd ever want around water and or saving me is Kevin Costner.
No, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. It's amazing how, and they actually give these people validity. Like, they're on the news and they're like, well, maybe Kevin Costner. I know. It is a joke.
Listen, it's a circus out there right now. Listen, Fox News running with the Obama camp. Listen, the only person that's doing a half-decent job reporting everything is CNN. And still, they have bias too.
Of course they do. The Communist News Network.
Those guys are all greased. They're putting the money in the pocket and say, "Hey, listen, let's talk about the American Idol winners so we keep focus off of BP." You know how media works.
Sure, they're dumbing us down, buddy.
Dumbing us down, please. They want to talk about Snooki on MTV rather than, 600,000 barrels of oil pumping into the Gulf.
You're absolutely right, Jerry. Hey, listen, man, I got to go on a break, but thank you for calling me, buddy.
Thanks, brother. Anytime, man.
Anytime.
Good time, good show.
Hey,
right,
thanks.
Brother.
Thanks a lot for calling. I'll be right back. I'm going to go on a little break, but please call 305-541-2350. The Edward Woodson Show on WZAB 880 AM The Biz.